click most of the time, and even if it's not most of the time, is showing you scriptures from all the versions. And there is only one version that is the true word of God, is the King James Version, and all the other versions were made by sons of Satan, by devils possessing them, to deceive, to change the words that you won't see the parables, to change the words that you don't understand how to get saved, to change the words for all kind of reasons, but precisely for reasons, not just to make money. And he's using them. He is using them. Why not using the Word of God, which hold all the truth, instead of using all the other versions, which hold that some truth, but not all of it, because they are all truth. So they use them.
Daniel 9 is describing two anointed ones. One that comes after 49 years, after 7 weeks, and that's Cyrus, and a second subsequent anointed one. But he's not a prince. He's not Cyrus. He's coming 62 weeks later, which is 434 years. That's 3.5 years before the destruction of the Second Temple, and he is removed. The church hates this. They need to have both anointed ones are the same, and this is where it gets interesting. So if you're looking at a Christian Bible, whatever, it's going to make it appear as though the period of time is 7, 60, and 2. So the text is going to read, the Messiah, the Prince, in a King James, shall be from going forth of the commandment to restore and to rebuild Jerusalem until the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks, comma, and 62 weeks, which means 62 weeks. That means it sounds like the text is saying 69 weeks, but it's breaking it up into a weird way. That means it puts a comma there, but there's no comma there. It should be a complete semicolon there. This is where the King James Version is gonna blow your mind out the window. That means in any language, the way you say 69 is 60 and 9. It's not just English. In French, 69. In German, 69. You never say 7, 2, and 60. So what the church did was it compressed these two. It really is saying after 17 weeks, I'll translate, after 49 weeks, we have Cyrus, and after a subsequent 434 years, you have an anointed one, which is the priesthood cut off. But they have to conflate it, so they remove the semicolon and they put in a comma. Now here is the craziness. I don't think you have it, but if you have it, I'd be blown away impressed. We don't prepare for our shows, so we just wing it. If you had an actual King James from the 1611, and I discussed this extensively in Volume 1, Let's Get Biblical, and I have a picture. I have the 1611 King James. If you had I don't know if you can do this online or whatever.
I have it online. I have the 1800 version, but I have that. I can get it online.
If you could, you could pull it up online. The actual 1611
is showing you scriptures from all the versions, and there is only one version that is the true word of God, is the King James Version, and all the other versions were made by sons of Satan, by devils possessing them, to deceive, to change the words that you won't see the parables.
Daniel 9 verse 25,
right? In the 1611 King James, not in the 19th century King James, not in an 18th century King James, but the original 1611. In 1911, they actually pulled out the plates and republished it.
Yeah, this Bible is not, and all the King James only churches do not use this Bible anymore. It's not not even readable. Right. But do you want me to read it?
It's barely readable, but this is the mind blower.
I'll show it on the screen while I'm reading it too, so they can see they can see the grammar and everything.
Okay.
Verse 25 says, "Know therefore and understand," with a V, "that from going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks, and 80.
Stop right there.
All right.
Stop right there. What happens after 7 weeks? Forget the crazy spelling that it's a U instead of a V. What do you see there?
Threescore in 2 weeks.
Well, before three swords, there is
Prince and the Messiah.
There's an unambiguous grammatical notation. It's in a Snachter in Hebrew, and what is it in the grammar there? There's a semicolon. Do you see that?
Oh yeah.
Thank you. There's a semicolon, which means it's a stop, full-blown stop. So from the going forth of the word, listen, my friends, like you've never, from the going forth of the word, which means from the L'Chorvot Yerushalayim, go back to Daniel 9, verse 1 and 2, from the destruction of the first temple until an anointed one, a prince, the Messiah, the prince, how the King James translated, will be 7 weeks. Stop. There's a semicolon there. Because in 1611, they didn't come up with this whole deal. Now, they wanted you to think that's talking about Jesus, because that already goes back to the second century, but they never thought of compressing the two periods. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up a modern King James. That means not the 1611. Let's go to the one that was just published yesterday.
Okay.
And there is only one version that is the true word of God, is the King James Version, and all the other versions were made by sons of Satan, by devils possessing them, to deceive, to change the words that you won't see the parables.
And notice,
wow.
Thank you.
7
Thank
weeks, comma, no semicolon.
Right. You see what happened is
crazy.
That means, and just think about this for a moment. In what universe do you say 6-9 by saying 7, 60, and 2? That's ridiculous. And to prove it further, look at Daniel 9, verse 26, the next passage, just so you want to make sure that Rabbi Singer is not some fanatic who hates Christianity and is coming on air in order to just so you know for sure that Daniel is interested in this, Gabriel speaking here, that Daniel's interested in conveying a 62-week period. Look at verse 26. What does it say there?
And after threescore and 2 weeks shall
it doesn't say after 7, threescore and 2. It says after threescore and 2 weeks, after 62 weeks. 62 times 7 is 434. Bingo. So when I said to you at the beginning of the broadcast that this is going to make a humongous difference, whether you're using a 1611 King James or 2022 King James, I wasn't exaggerating. So you need to ask the Christian, how do you play with this? And we have 2 anointed ones here, one after 7 weeks, I mean 49 years, Cyrus the Great. How do you know he's the Messiah? It says so in Isaiah 45, verse 1. It's really, really famous. By the way, we've talked about this in the past. The people who were Trump supporters said, Cyrus is a picture of Trump, and had the coin of, because Trump was president number 45.
I had that coin, actually.
Yeah. So that's how it's cut. So there are 2 different anointed ones. What the church does is it tries to compress it. There are more problems here than you can imagine, because as it turns out, if you say that the anointed one who's cut off is Jesus crucified according to Christian tradition, either in the year 30 or the year 33. Well, that's not when the temple's destroyed. That means if, let's say Jesus crucified the year 30, it's not a consensus, but let's say most say 30. So from 30 to 70, is that a half a week? What's the half a week? Like, what happened? That means from the time Jesus is executed by crucifixion in the year 30 until the destruction of the Second Temple is 40 years. 40 years is 5.5 weeks. It doesn't work. The whole thing completely collapses.
Wow.
But wow is right. So what happens is the whole thing doesn't work. Because remember, look very careful at Daniel 9, verse 26. There's a prediction of the destruction. The people of the prince will come. That's Rome. And they will destroy what? The city and the sanctuary. This is not like Antiochus Epiphanes. This is the destruction of the sanctuary. We know when that happened, in the year 70.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't work. Whereas if it's a half a week prior to destruction of the temple, that's the year 66.
He's showing you scriptures from all the versions. And there is only one version that is the true word of God, is the King James Version, and all the other versions were made by sons of Satan, by devils possessing them, to deceive, to change the words that you won't see the parables.